Last game to handicap, best on the board. Chiefs at Bills. It's juiced in Buffalo's direction. -2.5, -120, -3, -105. Depending on where you're shopping, you'll see both numbers, I'm sure. Total of between 46, 45.5, or reverse, I guess. By the way, I saw this trend. Sean Hockley officiating Bills Chiefs on Sunday night. Kansas City 8-2 in the Mahomes era. Patrick Mahomes. This per Rob Bazzola, great point. 74-22 straight up in his career. So I don't know how much Hockley officiating a game really matters. And you're going to see that trend from anybody that likes to throw out ref trends, but I doubt that's a part of your handicap now.
No, like Rich Ryan said on Twitter, these guys got to go. Like that is literally meaningless because, yeah, like you said, it's 2 percentage points of difference. So literally no difference.
So looking at things that are more important than Sean Hockley trends, Mo, point spread, Bills -2.5, juiced -120-ish. Threes out there as well. So laying a flat field goal at -105, total anywhere between 45.5. I think that's the consensus, but there still are some 46s juiced towards the under. Now, I've seen this sentiment out there from pro bettors, and we've seen Buffalo get bet up since Sunday. Maybe not, it hasn't gotten to 3.5, but still inching towards the 3 at 3 at some books. It's probably split in that regard towards the point spread. But to you, is this more of the notion that the market, I mean, we've seen it year over year with the Bills and Josh Allen. Pro bettors have come in heavily on thinking Josh Allen is the next great NFL quarterback to get over the hump. And that sentiment was certainly there for you and others who bet the Bills at long shot numbers to win the Super Bowl. So it's not like we're saying you bet Buffalo at plus 900. You bet them at 50-1, considering it was a buy low point, which it definitely was. They ripped off 5 straight to end the regular season and not only made it through a wild card spot, but won the AFC East outright. So what's your perspective on the betting market for this game and the market's interest in Josh Allen overall, thinking that he can finally break through and win a Super Bowl, and handicapping Chiefs Bills overall?
Yeah, it's no easy short way to answer this because I think it's pretty nuanced. I see a lot of people on both sides of the Allen thing. I see people that don't really believe that much in him. The high profile mistakes, obviously, and the ugly performance last year against Cincinnati, and just in general, not having been able to break through despite having some really strong teams. But I think a little more so on the side you're saying, where there's a lot of people that are really dialed into the NFL that have really believed in the Bills the last few years, tried to buy low maybe coming into this year after I believe they were the Super Bowl favorites the prior year. So I don't think a lot of sharp people had a lot of interest at that price, which was kind of crazy, I thought. I mean, I knew the Bills had a strong team, but plus 500 and being above the Chiefs was insane to me. But yeah, I think people on both sides, and you see that with the line move, to be honest, like you said, did reach 3, gets hit hard, down to 2.5. A lot of the market was split a few days ago. You could find 3, you could find 2.5. So you could find the good number no matter which side you liked. Right now, it seems like the Chiefs money is winning out a bit. I'm seeing, I saw earlier it was down to just 1 juiced 3 left on the market. So seems like a little more lean to the Chiefs out there, but I get why, because not only are the Chiefs healthier, but a pretty big rest advantage, which it's kind of gross, to be honest. I kind of get why the conspiracy league wants Mahomes. People like to sound off at times, like maybe the penalty thing is definitely overblown. I made fun of you for that multiple times, but nobody should have a 2-day rest advantage right now. The Monday game stinks. Get out of here, Goodell.
Get out of here, Goodell, in general, but I'm with you on the Monday game. We got 2 Monday games because of the storm.
Yeah, and it's a huge benefit to the Chiefs. I mean, I talked about this before, but you have Andy Reid, legendary work with extra time to prepare, a staff that is, I think, overall stronger than what the Bills have by a decent amount. I mean, Andy is just a more accomplished, better coach than Sean McDermott. And they have Steve Spagnuolo, one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL. So it's a pretty big edge for the Chiefs to have that 2 extra days. And like I said, a pretty rough situation for the Bills. I mean, this injury list is so long. I'm not going to say it's for sure the longest of any team here, but I think it is. It's got to be the longest for DNPs for sure. Obviously, they lost Matt Milano early in the year, but I just, you add to that these other injuries, and it's like, I don't know how they're going to cover the middle of the field in this game. I mean, Teron Johnson, who is like one of my favorite slot corners, he's banged up at best. It sounds like he's going to try to go, but it's not like really up to him. It's kind of up to whether he passes concussion protocol. So that's maybe out of his hands. And then multiple linebackers as well. Well, and Christian Benford at corner, and then also multiple linebackers. Some of these guys I'm not really even that familiar with because they were backups themselves. I think they might be down to like a 4th stringer in one spot. Something called Spectre got hurt. I'm seeing he was a backup to a backup. I mean, this could be pretty rough. And that's kind of why I like Travis Kelce over in this game. Steven, our boss, hit that at 60.5. I think there's still 160.5. Everyone else has moved to 63.5, but I think FanDuel still had a 60.5. I'm with him here. Kelce got 10 targets last time these teams played. He has feasted on the Bills in the past, and that's with Matt Milano, who is an ace coverage linebacker. He got 10 targets last week against Miami, despite a pretty poor performance. Like, with the other targets on this team, you just know no matter what happens, Patrick Mahomes is going to keep going back to him because it's not like he has better options. So even diminished Travis Kelce is one of the best options he's going to have. I think he's probably going to get 10 targets again in this game. I mean, you have a Chiefs team that's really leaning into the pass. I mean, they have been among the pass heaviest teams all year. And then last week, even in that game, they really comfortably won. Not that I'm salty about Patrick Mahomes not going over his completions without a completion for the last literally 19 minutes of game time or something. They threw 41 passes in a really comfortable victory in that spot where you would expect more rushing. I mean, Travis Kelce still has 8 yards per target this year, despite everything. So if he gets 10 targets, I mean, he's going to be a pretty big favorite to go over this number, I think. So that's one way I think you can approach this one. Another prop I'm interested in, Josh Allen under 32.5 attempts. Since the Dallas game, he's only gone over this number once. I know that sounds like an arbitrary endpoint, and it kind of is, but it's also like when they changed up their offensive strategy, more rush heavy. I think they're going to be rush heavy again here in a spot where, like we've talked about, the Chiefs are much more vulnerable on the ground. And you have Gabe Davis out. I just don't see a lot of passing volume. I don't see where the passing volume goes in this game. So that just makes me think there's not going to be a lot of passing volume. Chiefs great against tight ends. Chiefs great against wide receiver ones. That's Diggs. That's Kincaid. I just think there's going to be a lot of rushing in this game. And I think both teams are going to have some long drives. You have the 2 best third down quarterbacks in the game here. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. I think we could see some long drives here. Even if there's a lot of offense, it could look similar to that Packers game where that Chiefs-Packers game, like there was a lot. Both teams were scoring, but both teams were taking their time scoring.
Going back to your point about, you brought up a bunch of great points. Good addition to beat the closing number, to say the least. And good time of the year to have one. Not that we haven't, because we've been winning bats, but you get my point. Chiefs script, I know you brought up Mahomes in his performance against Miami. Considering the elements, the efficiency was off the charts. But drops have been an issue. I'm not trying to hit the hammer on the head, but you get my point, especially with Travis Kelce. And if Travis Kelce goes off like you think, we're going to see a lot of Taylor Swift. So the Swifties are going to be happy, and the rest of X is not. I'm indifferent. I don't really care. At least it's not Peacock, where we have people complaining about that too. But that Dolphin secondary was completely decimated. And it's not to say that Buffalo won't be to an extent, but Rasul Douglas practicing in limited fashion, it makes me think he's going to play. And if
he said he's going, so right. He said he could have played last week if they really needed him to.
That was this. At least that's what I thought was going on with some of those Bills injuries. Teron Johnson, we'll see. But if he shadows Rice, or to any extent, because we touched on that towards the latter part of the season, the Bills' pass defense ranked, I think, top 2, top 3 in EPA per dropback allowed from week 14 onward. So regular season alone, ahead of that Dolphins game. And a large part of that was because they had a reliable cornerback in Rasul Douglas. And the Packers' late season improvement, despite the NFC being weaker than the AFC, is impressive in their own right, considering they traded Douglas ahead of the deadline to the Bills. But I'm a little concerned about the Chiefs maybe being exploited with their lack of receivers or lack of competent / guaranteed catch receivers, reliable receivers, another good word to use, against a healthier Bills secondary than last week and healthier than the Dolphins for that matter. But the prop that I actually bet on this game is on the other side of the ball. This is going to make you happy because he's one of your guys. I took L'Jarius Sneed over tackles, and this line is at 5.5 at BetMGM. Under is juiced at -165. So it's been bet up from 4.5. You could still get a good number, or at least a good price on the over 5.5. But likely shadowing Stephon Diggs. Diggs runs a lot of intermediate routes. At least that's what we saw last week against Pittsburgh, really exploiting the Steelers' zone coverage. So in a similar-ish script, you mentioned slow pace. I think the opportunities will be there for Sneed to get tackles. We saw it against Buffalo the last time around. 7 tackles, I believe, in that Week 14 loss for Kansas City because of Kadarius Toney. We'll see if Toney has another offside that impacts this game. But it's not like he's shadowing Tyreek Hill. And he wasn't shadowing Tyreek Hill for the most part last week, but Hill being an explosive threat. Diggs doesn't necessarily run a lot of deep routes every single possession, every single snap, 20-plus yards down the field. And also Sneed is pretty good in the run game. So opportunities in that regard too. Any thoughts on my prop?
No, not really. Tackle props, not my forte over the years. Haven't really gotten too into handicapping them. I do think Sneed is a great player in run support as well. So yeah, that helps you quite a bit for sure. I think playing close to the line of scrimmage is a big deal here. So I think one thing that could help or hurt you is whether Gabe Davis plays. I think if he plays, that helps you, just because I think Diggs is more likely to be running shorter routes, where if he's out, they might need him to be more of a deep threat at times. And like you said, that usually results in more hit or miss plays where it's either going to be chunk gains or nothing.
One way or the other, we'll see if my first tackle prop bet of the season cashes. I'm not a big prop guy, but that one stood out to me just digging into the potential script. And we're in agreement. I have maybe a little bit of a lean that Davis plays, just considering what's at stake. And I know he didn't participate in Thursday's practice, but we've seen it done before where guys don't even practice and just with everything on the line wind up playing. I'm not saying that as a general sentiment, but I think we both agree, generally speaking, with situations like this. So that's going to wrap it up for our divisional round breakdown. I have a Sneed bet in Chiefs Bills. What are your final bets for you in the finale on Sunday night?
I've got the Allen prop in there. I don't have my Kelsey bet locked in. I have to drive over to Iowa to get that one in because that one I did not look at early in the week. Early in the week, I looked at the Allen one. So I didn't lock in that I really wanted the Kelsey bet until now. So I'm going to go get that one in. And I think I'm going to have some Chiefs as well, mostly because of my futures on the Bills. But mostly in that sense because I do think the Chiefs are the side. But money line is probably a bit better. I might try to be greedy and take 2.5 and see if there's ever a Bills 27-26 win or something. I don't know yet, but probably Chiefs in some sense.
All right, and then Bucks Lions. We're both looking, or I already bet Bucks plus 6.5. You maybe on or maybe looking live at Tampa Bay, right?
Yeah, I'll have the Bucks in some sense. I'm pretty sure. I do like the Bucks, and I'm probably going to have some Mike Evans overs in some form or fashion.
And we'll discuss Mike Evans receiving yards props in a bit. A little bit of a tease there. Packers 49ers, no play for me. Just a look to Watson anytime touchdown. I don't know if I can get there with the resurgence, I guess, with his odds being bet down. So some market love towards Watson, but I mean, you can't get down much on props anyway. So don't know how much really that's like market sentiment or sharp betters, but either way, the number's been driven down. What's your final bets in Packers 49ers, or what are your final bets?
I think it's just going to be Brock Purdy under 30.5 attempts. I do like that one quite a bit, and that's probably about it. And just really excited for that game as a fan for sure. 49ers are just, as much as I hate them at times because they win by 30 every time I try to fade them, their offense is a joy to watch. So yeah, very excited to watch them play a very hot Packers team.
And then under for me, we try to get a 44, maybe a stray 1 or 2 out there. Under 44 in Texans Ravens, or you attack it live. I wrote about that. My column is up over at thelines.com. You can find our final bets in our Discord channel if we add anything as well. The link is over at thelines.com in the top right-hand corner. And Mo's weather column and a bunch of other NFL Divisional Round playoff betting previews are up over at thelines.com as well. You took Jackson under rushing yards, correct?
I did. I got 53.5, and it's down a bit, but I still think it's fine.